Good morning students. Welcome back to 7th standard social science class. Today we discuss about term 2 history chapter 2 the Mughal Empire. So we discussed about in this class the foundation and establishment of Mughal Empire in India and the career and achievement of 6 great Mughal kings. Let us see about introduction. A new empire began in India with the arrival of Mughal king Babur. Except for the brief regime of Sher Shah of Shah dynasty, the Mughal rule lasted from 1526 AD to 1707 AD. These were the year when the fame of the great Mughals of India spread all over Asia and Europe. After 6 great Mughal emperors, the first ruler Babur. He ruled from 1526 AD to 1530 AD. His early career, Jahiruddin Muhammad Babur, popularly known as Babur, was the founder of the Mughal Empire in India. The term Mughal can be traced to Babur's ancestors, and Jahiruddin means defender of faith. Babur was born on 14th February 1483. He inherited Fargana, the small kingdom in Central Asia, when he was 12 years old. But he was soon driven out from there by Uzbeks. After 10 years of adversity, Babur established himself as the ruler of Kabul. The foundation of Mughal Empire. In Kabul, Babur set his sights eastward, reminded by the memory of Taimur's Indian invasion. In 1505, the very year after he took Kabul, Babur led his first expedition towards India. He was preoccupied with the Central Asian affairs. He did not have any ambition beyond Punjab till 1524 AD. Then the greater opportunity came knocking. Dilwar Khan, who was Daulat Khan Lodi's son, and Alam Khan, who was the uncle of Sultan of Delhi, arrived in Kabul to seek Babur's help in removing Ibrahim Lodi from power. Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the famous Battle of Panipat in 1526 and occupied Delhi and Agra. Following Babur's victory in this battle, Mughal dynasty came to be established in India with Agra as its capital. Babur's military conquest. Babur defeated Rana Sanga and his allies at Kanwa in 1527. He won the war against the chief of Chanderi in 1528 and prevailed over the Afghan chief of Bengal and Bihar in 1529 AD. Babur died in 1530 before he could consolidate his victories. Babur was scholars in Turkish and Persian language. He recorded his impressions about Hindustan, its animals, plants and trees, flowers and fruits in his autobiography, Tazkir-e Babri. The next ruler, Humayun. He ruled from 1530 to 1540 and again 1555 to 1556. So Babur's favorite and eldest son Humayun. Humayun, on his accession to throne, divided his inheritance as per his father's will, and accordingly his brothers Kamran, Hindal and Askar got a province each. Each of the brothers aspired for the throne of Delhi. Humayun also had other rivals, and notable among them was the Afghan Sher Shah, the ruler of Bihar and Bengal. Sher Shah defeated Humayun at Chausa in 1539 and again at Kanauj 1540. Humayun, defeated and overthrown, had to flee to Iran. With the help of the Persian ruler Shah Tamsk of the Safavid dynasty, Humayun succeeded his recapturing Delhi in 1555, but he died in 1556. The next ruler, Sher Shah. He ruled from 1540 to 1545. Sher Shah was the son of Afghan noble Hasan Suri, ruler of Sasaram in Bihar. After overthrowing Humayun, Sher Shah started the rule of Shu dynasty at Agra. During his brief regime, he built an empire stretching from Bengal to the Indus, excluding Kashmir. He also introduced an efficient land revenue system. He built many roads and standardized coins, weights and measures. The next ruler, Akbar. He ruled from 1556 to 1605. After the death of Humayun in 1556, his 14-year-old son Akbar was crowned the king. Humayun's trusted general Bairam Khan became the regent and ruled on behalf of Akbar, as the latter was a minor. Hemu, a general of Sur dynasty, soon captured Agra and Delhi in 1556. In the same year, Bairam Khan defeated and killed Hemu in the battle at Panipat, the second battle of Panipat, 1556, as Bairam Khan was murdered in Gujarat. Akbar brought most of India under his control through conquest and alliances. The conquest of woman ruler of Akbar's. Akbar conquered Malwa and parts of central India. He defeated of Rani Durga Devi, a ruler in the central province. It's not appreciated since the brave Rani did him no harm. Urged by his ambition to build an empire, Akbar had no consideration for the good nature of the ruler. Similarly, another woman ruler Akbar had to confront in South India was the famous Rani Chand Bibi, regent of Ahmednagar. The fight this woman put up impressed the Mughal army so much that they have her favorable terms of peace. The Battle of Haldi Hati. Akbar defeated Rana Uday Singh of Mewa and captured the fort of Chittoor in 1568 and then Ranthambore in 1569. In 1576, he won over Uday Singh's son Rana Pratap at the Battle of Haldihat. Though defeated, Rana Pratap escaped on his horse Chita. The continued his fight, leading a life in the jungle. The memory of this gallant Rajput is treasured in Rajputana, and many a legend has grown around him. The commercial access to Arabia, Southeast Asia and China. Akbar's conquest of Gujarat helped him to establish control over Gujarat's overseas trade with the Arabs and Europeans. Akbar's military campaigns in East Bihar and Odisha and victory over Bengal facilitated access to Southeast Asia and China, and also military campaigns in the northwest. 1585 to 1605. Among the conquests of Akbar, the important were the campaign he launched in the northwest of India. Akbar added Kandahar, Kashmir and the Mughal Empire. His battles in the Deccan led to the Berar, Kandesh and parts of Ahmednagar. Under Akbar, the Mughal Empire extended from Kashmir in the north to Godavari in the south and from Kandahar in the west to Bengal in the east. Akbar died in 1605 and his mortal remains were buried at Sikandara near Agra. And Akbar's religious policy. Akbar, realizing that the gains of affection would be more enduring than the gains of the sword, made all-out efforts to win the goodwill of the Hindu nobles and the Hindu masses. He abolished the jizya on non-Muslims and the tax on Hindu pilgrims. He also married a girl of a noble Rajput family. Raja Man Singh of Jaipur was sent as governor of Kabul once. And the Sufi Jain Salim Sisti and the Sikh Guru Ramdas received Akbar's utmost respect and regard. Guru Ramdas was gifted a plot of land in Amritsar, where the Sikh shrine Harmandir Sahib was later built. In Ibadat Gana, a hall in the new Padepur Sikri city, constructed by Akbar, scholars of all religions made for a discourage and contribution to culture. Akbar was a great pattern of learning. His personal library had more than 4,000 manuscripts. He patronized scholars of all beliefs and all shades of opinions. He extended his benevolence to others such as Abul Fazl, Abul Fazi and Abdul Rahim Khan. The great storyteller Birbal, competent official like Raja Tolarman, Raja Bhagwan Das and Raja Man Singh, the great composer and musician, Tanzan and artist, thus one adorned Akbar's court as well as. The next ruler, Jahangir. He ruled from 1605 to 1627. Akbar was succeeded by Prince Salim, his son through a Rajput wife, who was also named Nuruddin Muhammad Jahangir. That means conqueror of the world. Jahangir was more interested in art and painting and gardens and flowers than in running the government. So Jahangir's wife, Meherunisha, known as Noor Jahan, was the real power behind the throne. Jahangir carried on to some extent his father's tradition. The tolerance of religions of Akbar's time continued in Jahangir's time. But Jahangir ordered the execution of Sikh leader Guru Arjun for helping his rebellious son Khusro, who contested for the throne. This resulted in a prolonged fight between the Sikhs and Mughals. As a result of this confrontation, the Mughals had to lose control over the trade routes of Afghanistan, Persia, and Central Asia. The loss of Gandhar exposed India to invasion from the northwest. Ahmednagar, though conquered by Jahangir, remained a source of trouble throughout his region. Jahangir granted trading rights to the Portuguese and later to the English. Thomas Roy, a representative of King James I and England, visited Jahangir's court, and this agreement paved the way for the British establishing their first factory in Surat. The next ruler, Shah Jahan, he ruled from 1627 to 1658. Prince Khurram, after the struggle for power, succeeded Jahangir as Shah Jahan, that means King of the World. Shah Jahan ruled for 30 years. He led a campaign against Ahmednagar and annexed it in 1632. Bijapur and Golconda were also conquered later. Some Maratha warriors, notably Shaji Bhonsle, Shivaji's father, entered the services of the Deccan kingdoms and trained bands of Maratha soldiers to fight against the Mughals. So there was sustained resistance in the Deccan to the Mughals, the Marathas too. Shah Jahan was intolerant towards other religion than Islam. In his region came the climax of Mughal splendor, which is detailed in the next part of this lesson. Shah Jahan fell ill in 1657 and a war of succession broke out among his four sons. Aurangzeb emerged successful after killing his three brothers Tara, Shuja, and Murad. Shah Jahan passed the last 8 years of his life as a prisoner in the Shah Burj of the Agra fort. The next ruler, Aurangzeb. He ruled from 1658 to 1707. Aurangzeb, the last of the great Mughals, started off his region by imprisoning his old father. He assumed the title Alamkir, that means the conqueror of the world. He reigned for 48 years. He was no like art and his grandfather Jahangir and architectures like his father Shah Jahan. He tolerated no religion excepting Islam. He reimposed the jizya tax on Hindus and included them from office as far as possible. Between 1658 and 1681, Aurangzeb remained in the north and suppressed the revolt of Bandals. Aurangzeb's expansion in the northeast resulted in a war with the Ahams of Kamaruppa, the Assam. The kingdom came under repeated attacks of Mughals, but it could not be subdued totally. Relationship with Rajput and Marathas. Aurangzeb's hostility towards Rajput led to prolonged wars with them. To make matters worse, his rebellious son Prince Akbar joined the force of Rajputs and created troubles to him. Prince Akbar entered to pact with Shivaji's son Sambhuji in the Deccan. So Aurangzeb had to march to the Deccan in 1689. In the Deccan, Aurangzeb brought Bijapur and Golconda into submission. Shivaji had carved out a kingdom, proclaiming himself the emperor of Maratha state. Aurangzeb would not stop the rise of Shivaji in the southwest. Shivaji's son and successor Sambhuji, who was captured and executed by him, Aurangzeb, remained in the Deccan until his death in 1707 at the age of nearly 90. By the end Aurangzeb's rule, the British had firmly established their trade centers at Madras, Calcutta, and Bombay. The French had their main trade center in Pondicherry. The Mughal administration, the central administration, provincial administration, local administration, army, and Mansabdari system. And the first one, the central administration. It is a stable administration in larger parts of India. He was the lawmaker of chief executive, the commander-in-chief of the army, and the final dispenser of justice. He was assisted by the council of ministers, and Mir Bakshi was in charge of the army. The Mir Saman looked after the royal household. Quasi was the chief judge. The provincial administration, emperor was divided into several subas, that means province. Each suba was under the control of an officer called subadar. The suba were further divided into districts called sarkars. The sarkars were subdivided into parganas, a group of village, that is gramas, formed a pargana. The local administration had towns and cities were administered by Kotwals. Kotwals maintained law and order. The administration of village was left in the hands of local village panchayat. The panchayat dispensed justice. Army. The Mughal army compressed infantry, cavalry, war elephants, and artillery. The emperor maintained a large number of trained and well armed bodyguards and palace guards. The next one is the Mansabdari system. So, this system was introduced by Akbar. According to this system, the noble civil and military officials were combined to form of single service. Everyone in the service was given a mansab, meaning a position or rank. So mansab means position or rank. The mansabdar was holder of such a rank. Mansabdar rank was dependent on job and savar. The former indicated one's status. Savar was the number of horse and horseman he had to maintain. His salary was fixed on the basis of the number of soldiers. Each Mansabdar received ranking from 10 to 10,000. The Mansabdars were paid high salary by the emperor. Before receiving the salary, a Mansabdar had to present his horsemen for inspection. Their horses were branded to prevent theft. The emperor would use the troops maintained by a Mansabdar whenever he wished. The rank of Mansabdar was not hereditary during Akbar's time. After him, it became hereditary. And land and revenue system. Land revenue administration was donned up during the reign of Akbar. Raja Todarmal, revenue minister of Akbar, adopted and refined the system introduced by Sher Shah. Todarmal's job system was put in place in north and northwestern province. According to this system, after a survey, lands were classified according to the nature and fertility of the soil. The share of the state was fixed at 1/3 of the average produce for 10 years. During the reign of Shah Jahan, the Sapat or Sapti system was extended to the Deccan province. So, the religious policies of Mughal administration. The Mughal emperors were followers of Islam. Akbar was very liberal in his religious policy. In Akbar's court, the Portuguese missionaries were great favorite. Akbar tried to include the good principles in all religions and formulated them into one single faith called Din-e-Ilahi, that is divine faith. Jahangir and Shah Jahan also followed the policy of Akbar. Aurangzeb rejected the liberal views of his predecessors. As we pointed out earlier, he reimposed the jizya and pilgrim tax of the Hindus. His intolerance towards other religion made him unpopular among the people. Art and architectures of this period. Babur introduced the Persian styles of architecture to India by building many structures at Agra, Piana, Dolapur, Gwalior and Aligarh, but only a few of them exist today. Humayun's palace in Delhi, Din-e-Banag, was properly destroyed by Sher Shah Suri, who built the Purana Hill in its place. The most prominent monuments of Sher Shah's region was his mausoleum built at Sasaram in Bihar. The Diwani House, Diwani Arm and Ranga Mahal, Salim Sisti Tomb and Pulan Darwala were built during Akbar's time. Jahangir completed Akbar's tomb at Sikandara and the beautiful building containing the tomb. Okay, children, once again we see the recap. Babur founded the Mughal Empire in 1526 after defeating Ibrahim Lodi in the Battle of Panipat. Humayun's unsettled condition and Sher Shah victory over him in Battle of Kannauj. Sher Shah efficient land revenue administration and the introduction of coin system and standardized weight and measures are dealt with in this chapter. Humayun's retrieval of the Mughal Empire and his ultimately death leading to the accession of his son Akbar with Bairam Khan as the regent and defeating Hemu, the great general of Sud dynasty in the Battle of Panipat in 1556 are described. Akbar's military conquest as well as his religious policy are explained. Jahangir's disinterest in state governance leading to dominance of his wife Nur Jahan in the Mughal court in elaborated upon. And Mughal contributions to culture, notably to art and architectures, are highlighted. Thank you, children.